It started with a missed call. Just one. The number wasn't saved, and it didn't show a location, just a string of digits that looked wrong somehow, not too long, not too short, but it felt off. Like it didn't belong to any phone system you'd recognize. I woke up at 2:47 a.m., cold sweat on my neck, unsure why. My phone was face down beside the bed, screen still glowing. I didn't remember hearing it ring, but there it was, missed call, unknown number, with a timestamp of 2:46 a.m. I should have gone back to sleep. I should have ignored it. But instead, I stared at the number for a long moment, as if it was staring back. Then, without fully knowing why, I called it back. The line didn't ring. It just connected instantly. Silence. Not even the sound of breathing. I waited, half whispering, "Hello?" before I realized I had no idea what I wanted to hear. Then something answered. Not a voice, not really, more like the echo of my own voice, played back through some kind of broken speaker. It mimicked what I had just said, then added something else I hadn't. "Don't hang up. You already answered." I hung up anyway. Sat there frozen for a while, phone still in my hand, chest tight. I told myself it was just a prank, maybe a glitch. But that didn't explain the new voicemail notification that appeared less than 30 seconds later. I played it. The sound quality was terrible, like it had been recorded through a 100-year-old tape recorder, full of static and popping noises. But under the distortion, I heard my name, spoken slowly, followed by something that sounded like a street address, one I didn't recognize. Then, in a voice lower than anything human, it said, "Come before the line goes dead." I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I paced. I searched the address. Nothing came up on maps. No listings, no photos. Just coordinates dropped in the middle of what looked like a construction yard near the river. I don't know why, but the next day, I went. It wasn't easy to find. There were no signs, no paths. Just cracked asphalt, tall grass, and the rusted skeletons of machinery that looked like they hadn't moved in decades. I parked my car and walked the last 100 meters toward the spot the coordinates pointed to. There was a single structure there, half collapsed, concrete and rebar jutting from its sides like ribs. Inside, it was colder than outside, like the air hadn't been touched in years. I pulled out my phone to take a picture, no signal. Not even offline GPS. The screen flickered, then turned off completely. I tried to reboot it, but nothing worked. That's when I heard the ringtone. Not my phone. It was coming from inside the building, deeper in. Faint at first, then louder, echoing strangely like it was bouncing through old ventilation ducts. I followed it, past broken doors and hanging wires, until I reached a room that looked untouched. Clean. Quiet. Empty, except for a single rotary phone sitting in the middle of the floor, its receiver off the hook, the cord trailing in a circle. The ringtone was coming from that phone, even though it wasn't connected to anything. It rang once more. Then stopped. Then a voice came through the receiver, a woman's voice, soft, almost mechanical. She said, "You're not supposed to be here yet. But since you've answered, you've started something. Something that doesn't end with you." I turned and ran. I didn't stop until I reached my car. I drove straight home, not looking in the mirrors, not answering my phone no matter how many times it rang. That night, I didn't sleep. I turned off all my devices. I sat in silence until the sun came up. When I finally turned my phone back on, there was one new message. No number. Just a file, a recording. I didn't open it. I deleted it without listening. But when I opened the gallery app by accident, I found a new photo I hadn't taken. It was me, standing in that room with the rotary phone, only the me in the photo wasn't holding a phone. He was holding something that looked like a cord, but it was wrapped around his throat. And his eyes were pitch black. I'm not sure when the calls will start again. I've changed my number 3 times since. I've crushed and replaced my SIM card. Nothing stops them. Sometimes the calls are blank. Sometimes I hear familiar voices saying things they never said. Sometimes I hear myself, not what I'm saying, but what I'm thinking. Whatever that number was, whatever I answered, it knows me now. And it's waiting. Days passed, maybe weeks. Time had started to feel different. I couldn't tell if I was losing track of it or if something else was making me slip. I stopped answering any calls, kept my phone on airplane mode most of the day, and only used it for basic things when absolutely necessary. But the number didn't care. It still found ways to reach me. Once, it came through my landline, a phone I hadn't used in years, unplugged but somehow ringing in the middle of the night. Another time, it was through my television. I woke up to static filling the screen, with audio that sounded like the rotary phone from that abandoned building, ringing steadily while the faint whisper of my name repeated every 10 seconds. And then came the worst of them, the call from myself. It was around 3 a.m. I had just gotten out of the shower, trying to shake off the constant feeling that I was being watched. My phone lit up on the bathroom counter. The caller ID said my own number. Just that. No tricks, no unknown or random digits, my number, exactly as I had it saved. I stared at it until the ringtone stopped. Then came a voicemail. I listened. The voice was mine. The tone, the breathing, the pauses, it was unmistakably me. You won't remember recording this, it said, but you did. You just haven't yet. Then it paused, and the voice dropped an octave. You have to come back. You didn't finish what you started. I nearly threw my phone at the wall, but something told me not to destroy it. A part of me thought I might need it. That the number, or whatever was behind it, wasn't trying to haunt me for fun. It was trying to pull me somewhere. And the more I ignored it, the more it would twist reality around me until I had no choice but to listen. That night I dreamed of wires. Endless wires, looping through rooms, tangling around my ankles and wrists, threading through walls and windows like veins. And at the center of it all was a rotary phone, buried in a pool of thick black liquid. It was ringing. I didn't want to answer it. I had to answer it. I woke up gasping, tangled in my bed sheets. But there was something else. My pillow was soaked in blood. A small trickle from my nose, maybe. Nothing serious. But it didn't stop. Every hour that day, I'd get a new call. Same number. Always at 47 past the hour. I turned off the phone. It still rang. Through the speakers. Through my laptop. Even my smart fridge beeped and flashed the digits 1036, which meant nothing until I realized it was the time the first call ever came in, 10:36 p.m., 3 weeks ago. It was starting to blur. I began recording everything on paper. Times, dates, sounds I thought I heard. I kept seeing people standing at corners just outside my windows, not moving. Each time I tried to get a closer look, they vanished. One night, I left a voice memo to myself, just talking things through, and when I played it back, there was another voice underneath mine, a low, dry whisper, saying, "Why did you call me?" That broke me. I packed a bag. Decided to leave town, stay off-grid, go somewhere with no signal. A cabin I'd visited once, years ago. It was deep in the forest, no reception, no Wi-Fi. I got there after dark. Locked every door and window. Left my phone in the car, battery removed. No electricity, only firewood. I sat in silence, finally feeling like I had outrun it. Until I heard the sound again, not a ring this time. A dial tone. It was faint at first, like it was under the floorboards. I walked slowly toward it. The tone got louder. I found a small trapdoor in the corner of the living room, half covered in dust. It hadn't been there before, I was sure of it. I opened it, and beneath, instead of a crawlspace or a cellar, was a narrow, dark hallway that sloped downward, lit by a single red bulb swinging slowly. And on the far wall, I saw it, a phone, attached to the concrete as if fused into it, rotary dial glowing faintly, receiver off the hook, tone still humming like it was waiting to be interrupted. I should have closed the hatch. I should have burned the place down. But I climbed down instead, drawn by something I couldn't explain. I walked toward it. The temperature dropped the closer I got. My breath started to show, and I realized I could see faint shapes in the fog, outlines of people, maybe. Shadows. But they didn't move. I reached the phone. Touched the receiver. And as soon as I picked it up, everything went silent. The dial tone stopped. The lights stopped flickering. The shapes vanished. I held the phone to my ear. At first there was only breath. Then, my own voice said, "Welcome back. You still haven't finished the call." The voice on the phone, my voice, didn't speak again. It just waited. I stood there in the dim underground corridor, hand gripping the receiver, heart pounding against my ribs like it was trying to escape my chest. The silence was too heavy to be natural. It wasn't the silence of no sound, it was the silence of everything being held back. Like the world had been paused for me, suspended in this one moment while something watched, waiting to see what I would do. The rotary dial buzzed faintly, and then, without touching it, it began to spin. Slowly, unnaturally. Not in full numbers, just twitching back and forth between digits, like something was trying to remember how to use it. Then it stopped on 0. A soft click echoed behind me. I turned, but the hallway was longer now, stretched far beyond where I'd entered. No light. No trapdoor. The cabin above was gone. I was underground. Completely. And then the phone in my hand spoke again. "You should never have called." The line went dead. The silence returned, but not for long. This time, it was broken by footsteps, slow, deliberate, crunching on gravel. They were coming from both directions, though I could no longer tell which way led out. I ran. I dropped the phone and ran down the corridor, following nothing, led only by instinct and fear. The corridor split and bent in impossible angles, sometimes sloping upward, other times down, and always narrowing, like the building itself was breathing around me. I lost track of time. Hours might have passed. Or minutes. Then I reached a door. Steel. Heavy. Cold. On it, carved with something sharp, were the numbers, 1036. My hand moved without thinking, pressing into the surface. The door swung open. Inside was a room, small and circular. The walls were covered with old phone cords, tangled and pulsing like veins. Dozens of rotary phones hung from the walls, all ringing in sync. The sound was unbearable. In the center of the room stood a chair, and in the chair, someone sat. Head down. A phone in their lap. I approached cautiously. I don't know why. Every instinct screamed to run, but something stronger pulled me forward. I stepped in front of the figure. He looked up. It was me. Older. Tired. Pale, like he'd been underground for years. His lips moved, but the sound came from every phone at once, layered and echoing. You called me. Now I call you. And this time, you have to answer. I couldn't speak. Couldn't move. He handed me the phone in his lap. As I touched it, every phone in the room stopped ringing at once. The silence was worse than the noise. I looked at the rotary. It had only one digit left, 0. My thumb hovered over it. The air felt electric, heavy, like the walls would collapse inward if I didn't act. I dialed 0. Slowly. The world dimmed. The cord from the phone slithered around my wrist, tightening as the line connected. Then I was no longer holding it. I was in it. Not physically, I don't know how to explain it, but I felt myself pulled through, dragged into a space that wasn't made of rooms or sound, but of memories, lost calls, forgotten voices that I heard everyone I'd ever spoken to. Every lie, every regret, every time I ignored a call from someone who needed me. I heard people I didn't know, sobbing, screaming, whispering my name like they knew me, like they blamed me. I was falling through signal, through static, through timelines that had splintered the moment I first picked up that cursed call. And then, as suddenly as it began, it stopped. I woke up on my bedroom floor. Sunlight leaked through the blinds. My phone was in my hand. One missed call. Same number. 2:47 a.m. But now, my call history was gone. My photos were gone. All apps wiped clean. Just one thing remained, a single contact in my address book. It was labeled me, calling. I tried deleting it. Couldn't. I tried calling it. Nothing. But when I put the phone down, it rang again. The number was back. And this time, the message read, "Last chance to end the call. Dial 0. I didn't. I've kept the phone off since. I moved. Burned everything I had connected to it. Changed names. Countries. But still, sometimes at 2:47 a.m., I wake up and hear the faintest ring, not from a phone, but from somewhere deep inside the walls. Or the static on a nearby screen. Or even in the silence, too perfect to be real. You see, some numbers aren't meant to be answered. And some calls don't end when you hang up.